Hey guys, welcome to The Cure. Today I'm going to talk about planning out your grow tent or grow room. And what I've done here is basically um, quickly sketch out what I'm doing. It only took me about 10 minutes, and I started with just kind of looking at how much space I had. I was working with about 11 to 12 feet, and I wanted to make sure that I'm maximizing my space with efficiency. So I'm going to kind of take you through what I've done and go from there. So as you can see, I've got one tent here. Each tent is 4x4, and I've got another tent here and a shelf in between. And behind my shelf is my water tank. So what I did was I kind of looked at, well, what kind of space do I have at the bottom of my tent, and what kind of space do I have at the top of my tent? So as you can see, I've got a carbon filter. These all have 8-inch flange. I have a hyper fan behind it, and if you look here, these are actually on the bottom. They double as my air intake and my fans to blow air across the canopy of the tents. So what I did was I looked at how much space I had at the bottom, and so I had about 2 feet by 2 feet for each plant, which I'm doing a wick system, and each bucket has its own space. It's connected by a 3/4 inch hydroponic tubing. If you follow this up, it meets at a T, goes out of the tent and into my control bucket. And the control bucket is controlled by a float valve, which I'll go ahead and review the float valve that I used. I had a lot of options, but I chose to go with the jaw valves, and they're really good. They're really good, really dependable. A little spendy, but all of this stuff is on timers or float valves, so that pretty much everything is just, you set it and forget it. You of course have to come into your tents and do some super cropping, some scrog, and of course the scrog nets and things like that, and trim ups, and basic little maintenance type stuff. So my shelf here will hold all of my equipment. I have a few extra lights, different kinds of nutrients, soils, coco coir, peat moss, things like that. And in a later video, I'll go ahead and go over everything that I have to keep this grow going. And as you can see here, I have a pretty large light. It's about 24 inches by 24 inches. So, and the reason why I chose one large light over several multiple lights was just space, really, because I'm using an 8-inch flange, and this carbon filter is actually 24 inches, so it's quite large. And I chose to go with a larger model. I found it for a good price, and but mostly so that I get the best filtration possible for the tent. And if you follow the tubing behind here, you can see where I have my water tank. And my water tank holds about 60 gallons, so that's a lot of water. And it'll be suspended about 3 feet above the ground. And I think actually I'll put these buckets underneath. And what you can't see here is I actually will have air tubing that goes through the hydroponic tubing into each bucket, and underneath each bucket is an air stone, so that I'm getting good air and water circulation. And so that's kind of like the plan that I have going on. I highly suggest before you start setting up your tent or your grow room that you do exactly what I'm doing, because honestly, like I started buying stuff with a plan in my head, and I didn't do this right off the bat. So I got all this stuff, and I was like, oh, well, how am I going to put it all together? How am I going to really maximize my space and ultimately my time as well? And so I sat down and I drew this out. It didn't take me much longer than about 10 minutes. So, you don't have to do anything fancy or professional, but, just, sit down, think about, what your goal is and what do you want and what are your objectives. So that's what I did. And hopefully this turns out, something good that I can share with you guys that we can grow together and learn, And, if you guys have any suggestions or anything that can improve this grow, like leave a comment, I want to hear your ideas, because it's important. It's important that, I get as much information as possible. That way I can put out as much as possible. And it's we're growing for the cure here. A lot of people, my wife, use cannabis and and grow vegetables as well. We're not just growing pot. These will also be used for growing different kinds of indoor crops that we can eat during the winter time. And so there's a lot of really cool things, and like any of your ideas or anything, just I am totally welcome to have a discussion and talk about it and share my experiences that we can make the most out of this. So, and that's really the whole point, I mean, my wife, she's a huge part of this, and she has her own YouTube video channel, and you could find her. It's Marijuana Mommy. She does a lot of really cool stuff, and I highly suggest you guys, check it out, and follow her, and she just does a lot of really cool, amazing things. And honestly, like, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for her. She's my muse, so to speak, behind this. So, and I hope everything turns out really well, so I have something really good to show you guys, and that we learn together and we find the best possible way to efficiently and effectively grow crops. And personally, I would prefer doing all this stuff outside, but where I live, there's rules and whatnot about what you can have outside, and so that's kind of out of the options. So I was kind of forced to do this inside, and so I'm just trying to make the most out of my space. And thankfully I have a garage with enough space to handle all this equipment, and I still have plenty of room to do other really cool projects that I want to share with you guys. Maybe some aquaponics I think would be really cool, and maybe somehow I can tie this stuff all in together and we can just make a really cool, efficient, grow system to share with you guys. So yeah, so let's kind of just quickly go over what each tent really is. I mean, I'll keep things like vegetative, maybe like a mother plant or cuttings, seedlings, things like that. I'll keep in this tent, and on this side I'll just do like flowering and stuff like that. So I have a tent for each stage, and I've got two separate lights. They're not the same lights. This one here, I'll share the lights with you in another video. This one it's perfect for mothering or keeping things in veg, and the other one that I picked up it's perfect. It's perfect for flowering and things that are high intensity and fruiting, and I look forward to sharing that video with you guys. So hopefully you can see what I'm using, so that you can possibly get some information, or even if you can pick up the same kind of lights, because they're great and I got them for a great price. And there's just so much information out there, and there's just so many products out there. It's kind of hard to know where to invest your time and money into, because I'm not gonna lie, you can grow cheaply. You can. It is completely possible. But to be effective and to get a good, solid crop, you're going to have to put in some money, and you're going to have to put in some time. and each individual piece, it adds up, you know. And you don't think about everything that you're going to need until you really need it. There are like little things that, you know, you don't really think about until you're in the situation. You're like, oh, I forgot to get this, or I might need that, or you know, just the random things pop up you don't plan for. And that's why I highly suggest that you guys, you know, like sit down and really think about like what you want to do and how it's all going to look like, so that way you don't end up with kind of a jumble that I'm kind of in. So that's why I sat down and I just kind of sketched this out. And by doing this, you know, I do have a better picture of what everything's going to look like. And, you know, in some of this space, you know, I'll make sure to, you know, hopefully get some like time-lapse cameras so you can just see everything from like start to an amazing finish. And that's my goal, you know, to help people who are struggling. You know, people are out there, they're in pain and they have anxiety, and you know, they have debilitating diseases, cancers, and you know, my goal is just to help those people learn how to help themselves in that way. And that's how I got the name for my channel. We're growing for the cure, you know. We want the cure for cancer, we want the cure for debilitating diseases, and we want the cure for anxiety. And me and my wife, we truly believe that this helps people, and I hope these videos help people, because what would be the point, you know? What would be the point of doing all of this if it didn't serve a purpose? So, if you guys, you know, enjoyed my video and you liked it, feel free to, like, you know, thumbs up, you know, or leave a comment. You know, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear, you know, your ideas, you know, because I'm sure there's someone out there who has a way better idea than I do and has experience that I don't, you know, and I'm willing to learn with you guys. So, yeah, if you like this video, boom, thumbs up. If you didn't, I'm sorry, and I'll try to do better next time. And if you have anything to say, I want to hear from you. So that's about all I have for you tonight. So you guys have a good day, have a great day, have a good night, no matter where you are. Take care, and peace.